Trump has made it clear that he will attack media organizations that are critical of him. And this is clearly an effort by Bezos to try to get on Trump's good side in advance of his presidency. So if we want to know how Trump is going to stifle the free press in the United States, this is the answer.
All right, well, here to talk more about this is journalism professor and director of graduate studies at the University of Wisconsin-Madison School of Journalism and Mass Communication, Michael Wagner. Thank you so much for joining us. And, you know, just going over what's happening here with newspapers is really astonishing, with the news of the daughter of the L.A. Times owner saying the decision to not endorse Harris was prompted by Harris's support for Israel. So talk to us about the tradition of newspapers making political endorsements and how common it is for big issues to prevent major newspapers from endorsing a presidential nominee. I mean, it's not new, but this is definitely a very interesting time.
It's very interesting and very notable. Newspapers have a long tradition of weighing in and endorsing candidates. I mean, most original newspapers were highly partisan and supported one side or the other, which is why many newspapers have the name Republican or Democrat in their name. As just an example, this is something that we've had since the founding of the Republic in terms of newspaper endorsements. And usually, if it's a single issue that might prevent an endorsement, it's something where the United States is much more of a direct participant, which is not exactly the case in what's happening in Gaza. Of course, the United States' relationship with Israel is extraordinarily important and in fueling a lot of what Israel is doing, but it's not the same as, say, the Vietnam War, the Civil War, things where the United States government and military are active participants.
I wanted to ask you about the alleged Trump-Bezos backdoor deal. You know, what effect does this have on the greater media landscape and media independence? What do you think about that?
I think that the way Kagan was characterizing what happened is a chilling wind for newspapers and other media around the country to hear that ownership can stifle the free and independent press. Now, of course, you know, it's his paper, right? And so he can choose to do with it what he likes. But stifling what papers have always done and their readers generally expect them to do is not a way to build trust with news organizations in an era of declining media trust.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you if you think this increases or decreases the public's trust in mass media. And there's obviously so many people that talk about how they don't read the newspaper so much anymore. A lot of people get their news from their devices. So where does that lead us with who to trust? Other than NewsNation, of course.
Trust in the media has been declining for 50 years, and it's not on the backs of who newspapers are endorsing. It's largely due to an increasingly polarized country where people can retreat to get news from sources that tell them their side's right and the other side's wrong, dangerous, and evil. And it also is happening because so many sources, especially on talk radio, tell people don't trust the news media. Those are reasons that media trust is diminishing, not because some newspapers endorse candidates for office. And when newspapers don't endorse candidates, they might think, oh, we're building up this idea that we can be trusted. But of course, all of their readers already expect that the paper has a preference, and now it looks like they're hiding their preference, which is not a way to build trust.
Right. I'm so glad you brought up talk radio. I worked in talk radio for many, many years, and you're right. I mean, that's the kind of the rhetoric that you do here. How do you even put me in your classroom? How do you teach this in journalism school? What do you tell your students?
When we talk about this, we first talk about, of course, the big line separating an opinion section of a newspaper and the news section of a newspaper, or a commentary program on television versus a news program. Both can impart information and both can impart accurate information. One is trying to persuade, one is trying to inform. And so thinking about that distinction is really important, but also highlighting the fact that newspapers especially pay the most attention to what is happening in politics. Most of us don't wake up, sit up in bed, clap our hands together and say, how am I going to hold my government accountable today? Right. We depend upon those who pay close attention. And when they don't tell us what they know and what they think, it makes it harder for us to make good decisions as a citizenry.
All right. Well, very good points that you've made. University of Wisconsin-Madison journalism professor and director of graduate studies, Michael Wagner. I'm so glad that you're here today. That was a great conversation. Thank you so much for joining us.
It was my pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.